Let's make and decorate some easy sugar cookies for the holidays. I came up with 5 super simple designs using these different Christmas shapes. To make everything that you see here, all you need is 3 different piping tips, 3 different colors of buttercream, a handful of sprinkles, and of course your cookie cutters. I listed in the description box below the full recipe for the sugar cookies as well as the recipe for the buttercream. Once you made your dough and it chilled in the fridge for at least an hour, it's time to roll it out. So you're going to generously sprinkle flour onto your surface. Be sure to keep applying flour where you need to whenever you feel like the dough is a little bit sticky. It'll just make the process of rolling out your dough and cutting out your shapes much easier. I like to roll up my dough to approximately 1/4 of an inch to 1/3 of an inch. I just kind of eyeball it. Once you reach your desired thickness, you can go in with your cookie cutters and cut out your shapes. Once you have all of your shapes cut out, then it's time to transfer your shapes onto your pan lined with parchment paper for the oven. I start by removing the dough in between the shapes where I can, and then going back in with my spatula. I do usually dip my spatula in a bit more flour. It just makes it a lot easier to get the shapes up. Then one by one, I transfer to my baking sheet. The time in the oven will vary depending on your oven. For me, the sweet spot is between 3.5 to 4 minutes. I personally don't like when my edges start getting a little bit brown and crispy. I like when everything is nice and soft and the same color all the way through. So for me, when the center looks just done, I know it's time to pull them from the oven. You can find all of the tips that I use in the description box below, but for my first design on the Christmas tree, I used the Wilton 22 open star tip. You can see them applying pressure and kind of moving up and back in a little bit of a wave motion. Then I'm repeating that all the way down the row. Then I continue to move row by row up to the top of the tree, and I just am sure to kind of overlap them so they look natural like branches would. Then I finished mine with some ornaments, so I used some sugar pearls, some sixlets. And then of course I have a star at the top of the tree. For the candy cane, I'm using the Wilton 18 open star tip, and this one's really simple. I'm using the same tip for the red and the white, and I'm just applying pressure and making little stars and lines going around that curve. It doesn't have to be perfect by any means. This is a super forgiving design. And just keep applying those little stars in rows until the entire cookie is filled. Next for the snowflake, I'm using a Wilton 5 small round tip, and you can see I'm just roughly going around the edges and filling in this whole cookie. Once I have buttercream filling the entire cookie, I'm just going to go back in with my offset spatula just to make it a little bit flat. And then I'm going to take my cookie and dip the entire surface of the cookie into my glittery sugar. You could use sanding sugar or sprinkles, whatever you have on hand is totally fine. Now I'm going to go back in and apply lines in each direction and add those little arrows on the ends for that snowflake look. Last, I have some sugar pearls, and I'm just going to apply these to the edges of my snowflake and right in the middle. Okay, moving on to the mitten. So just like we did with the snowflake, I'm going to take the Wilton 5 small round tip and just fill in the top of the mitten with buttercream. Once you have your buttercream covering the entire mitten piece, that top part, you're going to dip it into sprinkles. I think something small like nonpareils would be good, or sanding sugar, again, nothing too bulky. Then you're going to go back in with your Wilton 18 open star tip in white and just create that little cuff for the mitten. Just applying pressure straight up and down to create a larger star all the way across. Last, we have our stocking. So for the stocking, you're going to take your Wilton 18 open star tip in red, and really simple, in a zigzag direction, you're going to work your way up the stocking. You can stop once you get to that cuff at the top of the stocking, and in the same way, we're going to go back in with our Wilton 18 open star tip in white, and applying pressure, we're going to create those little stars again. And I did 2 rows of stars here just to fill it in a bit more because it is a larger space in the mitten. And that's it. 5 different sugar cookie designs for the holidays. Really simple, only using 3 piping tips and 3 different colors of buttercream and a handful of sprinkles, and we had beautiful results. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe to my page to see more tutorials just like this one.